am I? Am I alive yet?
Hopefully everybody's alive, as I say every time. So before we start this off, my last video that I was actually had a video that was supposed to come out this morning. Um, but for whatever reason, it was blocked for copyright issues. So when I went back and tried to reload it and look and see why it was blocked for copyright, it said it was due to some, because in the video from yesterday, I was talking about a few things. One about people complaining about Trump wasting money going to the Daytona 500, which I said I don't that stuff doesn't really bother me. And then you get into also the people that were blaming him, taking vacations all the time, and it was like they were doing the same thing when Biden was in there. It's just whenever whatever president is president, they're gonna take heat from the opposite party no matter what. But I was talking about the Saturday Night Live 50 that aired Sunday night, and I guess the copyright issue came up, which I've had other things on these videos that show trailers that different clips or whatever never been flagged, but yet Saturday Night Live 50 got flagged, and so it would not let me promote or show that video because, and it wasn't even, I don't even think it was like there wasn't any sound. It was, I think one of them was like it was just Cher from the concert, and it was just a frozen image of her standing there, and apparently that was copyrighted. So that video did not get out, and yeah, no matter what I did to try to get it out there, just it was getting blocked. So I was like, what, screw it. I'm just not even going to worry about it. If that's the way we're going to be about it, and then it doesn't need to be out there. That's fine. That's whatever. So there was a pretty decent one. I got in, but it was basically just talking about Saturday Night Live. Um, how I grew up with the 90s Saturday Night Live from about 92 when I was 11 till the mid 2000s. And that's about when I stopped watching it. And it wasn't because I didn't think it wasn't funny anymore. It was just, I think you kind of age out with that show, like with everything you kind of age out with. And for me, the mid 2000s was that for me because, most Saturday nights, especially when I was 21, I was out at the bars, so there was a lot of time from I was 21 in 2022. So from like 2022, 2023 on, I just that's probably when I really stopped focusing and watching Saturday Night Live. So I mean I might have missed some, excuse me, not 2020, 2003, 2002, 2003. Sorry. I'm thinking about the last 2 years, or the last 3 years. 2002 and 2003 was, turned 2021 and 2002. So I was out at, I'd be out at the bars on most Saturday nights or just doing other things. Just wasn't there. So I probably missed, some things here and there, especially 2000, about 2006, dude. I was living at the bars, dude, from Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, most sometimes, I was out there. So there's just a lot of shows and a lot of things I didn't watch because of that. And for me, the golden age was the 90s. I know there's a lot of people that love the first couple years of Saturday Night Live, which is fine because that's when it was a real ragtag crew and they were just running on the seat of their pants, which I get. And of course, the 80s takes so much heat for those years that Lauren Michaels left and it just wasn't that good. But for me, the 90s was it. I mean, I got there probably, at the rise of Farley and Sandler, David Spade, Tim Meadows, Chris Rock a little bit there, Tracy Morgan in the later part of the 90s. Um, Janine Garofalo was on there for a little bit. Even Sarah Silverman had a small stint. Phil Hartman was still there doing his thing. Mike Myers at that time was beginning to do the movies like he had done Wayne's World and was filming a few others. So he was. I just remember him being there sparingly, I think, because he was doing movies at that time. So and then he kind of left 95, 96, somewhere around there. But yeah, to me, just the music, the cast they had, and the different hosts, it just was a lot smoother and better. And that's my time period. And I'm pretty sure everybody that grows up when they were a teenager to about their 20s, whatever time period that was in, except for the time period in the 80s, that was when Saturday Night Live was the best for them. So I get it. But for me, I think I grew up with the best generation. But so I hadn't watched Saturday Night Live in a long time. I'll peep in from time to time. Um, like when Chappelle hosts, because I love Dave Chappelle. I'll watch that. There's Ryan Gosling. I love watching Ryan Gosling on there because he just laughs through all of his sketches. He can't keep a serious face. And maybe a few other actors or actresses, just depending. But I mean, I maybe watch a show or two a season, if that, maybe one, if that. Um, but I don't really know a lot of these younger actors. I don't really know the cast anymore, and I don't really the musical guest I could give two flips about. I mean, that's just not my thing anymore. It just is what it is, aging out as they say. But anyways, so I gave it a watch last night because I wanted to see. I've watched a few of the reunion episodes. I can't quite remember a lot that happened through a lot of them past, but I gave it a watch. You had the monologue, Steve Martin. It was funny. I mean, there wasn't anything too crazy about it. They did the whole making fun of Ice, where they had him because Martin Short came up on stage and he calls Ice to take him away. And to me, there wasn't really even. I mean, most of the show there wasn't really too many political stuff. Now I'm sure both sides will sit there and talk about how it was either to this or to that because that's just what people are looking at. But me, it's like I went in kind of expecting a little bit of political satire, which there was. I mean, there wasn't. It's Saturday Night Live, so there was, but it kind of went both ways. But for the most part, they stayed away from it. The one thing I wrote these notes down as far as like the one thing that really got me. I shouldn't say got me in like a negative aspect was they did Black Jeopardy, which was funny, and they had um Tracy Morgan on there as just a regular dude, and then they had Eddie Murphy on there as Tracy Morgan. So you got Eddie Murphy doing his impersonation of Tracy Morgan next to Tracy Morgan, and it was the funniest thing ever. Like Eddie was killing it, and the skit was going phenomenally great. Like it was funny, it was laughing, and then all of a sudden they have Tom Hanks step in as like an old MAGA guy, which I guess that was a character he had played previously a few years ago, and they have him step in, and it just really killed the segment. Like you could even feel in the crowd, it just killed the segment. And I don't know what they. I guess it was just to get Tom Hanks on TV, which okay, that's fine, but I think you could have done a better way than having him play that particular character. And to me, it was whatever. The character didn't bother me at all. He was. I didn't. Again, I haven't seen the original sketch where he plays the MAGA dude on Black Jeopardy. Some people said it was funny, some people said it wasn't. But this just, I saw a lot of people that were upset and was talking about the whole, see, they went all woke again and they pulled this and tried to make it look like MAGA's racist and all this crap. And I could care less about that. I mean, it just killed the sketch. The sketch was funny as hell. Eddie Murphy was killing it. I mean, he had Keenan Thompson, he had Tracy Morgan, and I forget the other the woman's name that had been on Saturday Night Live, one of the Ghostbusters. I apologize, I can't remember her name, but I mean, he had all of them laughing because he was just killing it. And then they just slide this other character in, and it just killed the whole vibe. And it's just even in the crowd, it was like, what are we doing? So I don't know who thought that was a good idea to do that, but what a horrible way to waste a skit that could have been just gold if you'd have just left it alone. But again, that's what happens with these skits in live TV. That crap kind of happens. Then they did a wedding skit, which um, it started out with Martin Short and Molly Shannon, and that was honestly was probably the funniest thing from that whole skit was them being the parents of two other cast members who I have no idea who the flip they were. Sorry, but I just didn't. And then they did this whole thing where like her former bridesmaids, it's supposed to be like they're celebrating like their year anniversary or 2 year anniversary or I don't know, whatever. Like her bridesmaids get back up on, and one of them's a singer, Sabrina, which again, sorry, I do not know. She's attractive. She seems like she can sing, but I don't know anything about her. Hate on me all you want, but I just don't. Um, and they're singing about how she was before she got married and all this, and then they do the whole thing where the best men and everything they show up, and Pedro Pascal and a few others are doing it. It's just for me again, it just wasn't my thing. I didn't find it funny. I thought the funniest thing from that sketch was Martin Short and Molly Shannon. They were the funniest thing on there, and that was just another sketch to me that just didn't go, and it just it was gone. They had a skit with Will Ferrell as Robert Goulet, and they brought in these three sisters, which were played by Scarlett Johansson, one of the Kardashians, I think it was Kim, and another cast member from the '90s and in early 2000s. I'm sorry, I forgot her name too, but she's funny woman. She was part of that Sweaty Balls. Anna Gasteyer. There you go, just nailed it right there. Sorry, Anna. Her name might not be Anna, but Gasteyer. Anyways, it was like them three playing these sisters, supposed to be like a 1940s 50 act or whatever, and Robert Goulet is like hitting on them, and then they have the other cast member, most recent one, she pops in, little small arms with the baby hands, and it's just a little bald cap making her look. It was a funny sketch. There were some things that were just, again, it just seems like they reached like at one point how they're smacking, Kim Kardashian on her ass, and like Megan, like hitting like bongos or something, and a little bit was just like, I mean, you guys are trying to stretch a little far. It's not as funny, but overall, that sketch was pretty funny. Yeah, nothing like too banger at the moment. I mean, the Black Jeopardy would have probably been the funniest, but it is what it is. Later on, they had a Scared Straight, which that one was hilarious. Keenan Thompson, Eddie Murphy doing the whole like they're in the prison. They're gonna scare these kids straight, and I mean they're cracking each other up. Eddie's cracking Keenan, like Eddie committed all night. Like I'll give it to Eddie Murphy. Like my man committed all night to every sketch that he was in. I mean, he was doing it, and he was making Keenan Thompson pop all like the entire segment. And then they have Will Ferrell show up, and he's like nut hugger shorts, and he's calls himself Big Red. He's got like Daisy Dukes on, and he ends up like he's making Thompson and Eddie Murphy bust just how he was acting. That was a funny sketch. That was probably one of the funnier ones on there. And then they brought Debbie Downer back, which if you don't remember who Debbie Downer was, I think either 99 or 2000. They did a sketch, and they're like Disney World, and they're supposed to be having fun. And there's this one woman that just brings up random facts. They're just nothing but Debbie Downer, just Downer facts, and they would zoom in on her and make like wah, wah, and she'd do this face like that. And it was the one that like caused like Jimmy Fallon, which of course he breaks and everything, but he like breaks so hard that it causes the rest of the cast to break, and just one of those memorable sketches. So they brought her back, and it was Jimmy Fallon, of course, um, two others, Drew Barrymore, and later Robert De Niro shows up and just basically does his best Robert De Niro. But that one was funny. If you get a chance, check that one out. That was pretty decent. The alien abduction, of course. That is that. Okay, I gotta say that was probably the funniest sketch all night. Before I think about alien abduction, they do a great job, and that one actress comedian does a fantastic job, and she knows she's trying to get others to bust, so she just plays into it. And you had Pedro Pascal and Woody Harrelson as to the two other abductions. And then there's like this one scene where she's just like tapping Pedro like on his groin, just smacking him, explaining what the aliens were doing to her, and he's trying not to break character, like he's looking away, and then she drops down like and like is like yelling at it, like and then like has Woody Harrelson stand up, like stands underneath him, and like basically is between his legs, like with her head, like Kate Middleton, I think, Kim Middleton, I don't remember, and has her head on Eddie on Woody Harrelson's crotch, and both of them are both are not trying to break, which is funny as hell. And then they bring her mom in, and of course her mom is Meryl Streep, and say what you will about Meryl Streep, but I mean she killed she killed it in this comedy role. She did an even better job. So if you get a chance, check that one out too, because that sketch was hilarious. Um, did a Brooklyn talk show in which it was this sketch was probably something that I had missed that had stopped watching. It was like these two mothers from Brooklyn that oh yo we're from Brooklyn, we're talking here. And in the middle of the sketch, Mike Myers shows up as his character, the one we're here to talk. Oh, I'm all for Klimt. Talks amongst yourselves. And there wasn't any there wasn't any talk or any show that Michael Myers was going to be there, so he shows up and he does that character, and that was pretty decent. Um, the news desk, the update, that was great. That was probably one of the funnier things too. And they had Bill Murray do his top 10 of the news anchors, the weekend update news anchors. And of course, for the top 10 black anchors was just Michael Che because he's the only black anchor that they've ever had. So he was number one. And then Bill Murray did a countdown and had his top 10 and was telling Colin Jost that he was, don't worry, you're on this list. And then just popped like a Scarlett Johansson joke in there on him. And so that was great. Um, for the most part, I mean, again, I mean, it was 3 hours, so you had nothing but celebrities in there. Most of the sketches were pretty good. Adam Sandler knocked out of the ballpark with his song that he did, singing about the different cast members and how long they'd been there. Just knocked it out the park. They had another sketch, which this one was. I mean, it was. I didn't quite get it. It was basically it started off in like 1975 New York, and you have David Spade and God, I can't think of that other guy's name. The dude that was just dating every chick in Hollywood, just but looked like he fell out the back of a truck and rolled down a hill for 5 years. Anyways, and John Mulaney was supposed to be like the ghost of Saturday Night Live past and takes him from 1975 to the present. And but the different actors and different cast members as they go through the different decades and talk about it. And at one point, David Spade just disappears from the segment. He's just not there. And I remember like going like, the hell what happened to David Spade? Just not there anymore. And they cut and dude asks John Mulaney like, or Mulaney asks dude's like, what the hell happened to David Spade? And he goes, oh yeah, he went and sat back down in the crowd and they cut to David Spade. He's like, yeah, I get the gist of it. It's whatever. And it's one of those funny things that I'm pretty sure Spade, I think was playing into like when he didn't care for a skit, he just would mail it in or just wouldn't care. And I think that's kind of what they were playing at. It's just like he just didn't care anymore, so he just sat down. But that one was again that was a little. I don't know what they were trying to go for there, but that was kind of a miss for me. I'm sure some people find it funny, but to me that was just a complete miss. But yeah, overall decent show. Now the best thing that I saw about it last night was this John Belushi SNL short. It was called "Don't Look Back in Anger," which an Oasis song. "Don't Look Back in Anger." And I don't know if it's one that had been played before. It might have. I honestly I don't know, but it's Belushi as an old man, and he's talking about the first cast of Saturday Night Live in 1975, and he shows up to a graveyard, and he goes to all these different graves and basically names all the cast members and all their ways that they died, and he's the only remaining cast member. Which, as you know, the irony is Belushi was the first to die out of that original cast. Drug overdose in 80 or 81. Um, and it was just this surreal thing. Like at first, like you could kind of get a sense from the crowd. Like when they showed it at first, they showed him as an old man. There was like this just unease. Like this is weird. Like seeing him as an old man, knowing that he's been dead. And then he goes to the graveyard, and again, there's a little bit of unease, and he's talking about all these other cast members that died. But then he starts explaining like how the cast members died, and everyone's kind of, you can hear the crowd kind of reacting and laughing to it. They get the dark humor and the dark comedy about it, and it ends with Belushi, saying the reason why he's lived so long is because he's a dancer, and he starts dancing. And then it just ended like on this weird, like surreal note. Like, of course, Ratner did not serve. She died as well early in the '80s at some point from cancer. And so it was this like weird, just funny, but also just kind of people were kind of like didn't know if they should laugh or shouldn't laugh at the situation. So it was a brilliant short though. If you get a chance, find it on YouTube or find it somewhere and give it a watch. Just the knowledge of everything that came from him actually being the first to die. Just a pretty decent short. So again, I don't know if it was ever shown beforehand. It might have, it might not have. I don't know. But it was a great little short skit there that they did. So man, I'm like scared to go to like the SNL 50 on Twitter here because of the way that they completely blocked. Well, I already got my stuff blocked the last time, but just to be safe, we'll cut back over here. Yeah, I mean, I understand that a lot of people think that Saturday Night Live has gotten really political in the last 10 years, which again, I don't know. I haven't really watched or cared and don't really get involved with that, but I mean, SNL has always been political. They've always made fun of politics. I mean, especially during election years, they really do. Now, normally they're pretty good at making fun of everybody, um, and I think that's some of the case of what's been in the last 10 years. It's more lean to one side than the other. And I saw a lot of streamers today that were like really just going in on how woke and how just how Hollywood still doesn't get you know what's going on. And I didn't get, like I said, I didn't get any of that from from the show. There wasn't anybody like taking legit shots at at Trump or anything that was too crazy. Most of it was just celebrating the 50th year. Now again, the Tom Hanks thing, some people are going to take it some way, some people aren't. I took it in the way of it just killed the sketch. I mean, it was just a stupid decision. If they would have left that alone, it probably wasn't the best sketch of the night. But they brought that the Tom Hanks older MAGA character in there, and you know the hurt people are going to complain that Hollywood still doesn't get it and it's still woke. It didn't bother me. I just thought it was again a complete 180 to what the sketch was trying to be. So whatever issues you have with it, that's your own issues. It didn't bother me. Um, but yeah, if you get a shot, check some of those sketches out. They weren't that bad. Definitely check out Adam Sandler doing his stuff and the John Belushi short. Those two things were probably the very best things of what happened Sunday night. Um, but yeah, don't get too caught up in this political nonsense that people just want to target to get views and to get likes or to play a certain side. Have your own thoughts. Um, I'll get a little bit more into the whole Trump thing, trumpet. Let's see if I can pull some of that up. It won't give like so this was my thing about yesterday. It was so Trump was at the Daytona 500, and he did the whole, where he was, the lead for the race before it started, and then I think they only got what like 10 minutes in, and then the rain came through and delayed it for hours on end. But there were a lot of people complaining about him wasting money, which I get. I mean, people are going to complain about every sit-in president as far as either being on vacation too much or wasting money for this or that. And I saw a lot of people complaining about this, that they flew Air Force One around the stadium two, three, four times, whatever that was, and how much of a money waste that was. And they're complaining that they got that Doge, trying to find all the the way that the money's being wasted in this country and whatnot. I I don't know what to say on that. To me, if you're the president of the United States, you're gonna fly where you want. I mean, you're kind of gonna do you're gonna take vacations when you want. You're gonna do what it is. I didn't have a problem with Biden going to the beach every weekend. I didn't have a problem with George Bush Jr. going to his ranch every other weekend or whatever it may be. I mean, that's what they're gonna do. I mean, being a president. I mean, there's that whole thing about the aging of the president that people I don't know if too many people know about it or do, but it's like look at the person who was the president as they were going into their first term and look at them as they're out of their last term, whether that's 4 years or 8 years, whatever it is, and look how much they've aged in those either 4 or 8 years. And it is astonishing. I mean, it is amazing. And it has to do with just the stress. I mean, those guys, um, you know, you don't sleep normal really. I mean, you're called upon at any point, rather, you know, for whatever's going on in the world. You're flying left and right. You're doing this and that. I mean, you got to try to eat healthy. If I mean, even though unless you're Clinton and you're just pumping all sorts of pasta and sweets in your gut, but just the aging of people being the president is probably one of the reasons that I would never want to do that. Um, and the amount of stress that they go through on that. So to me, it's like if you're gonna take if you're gonna do this, you know, with Daytona 500, if you're gonna fly to the beach every other weekend, if you're gonna go to, I don't care. I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, the only real power our president has is the power of veto. Everything else, they can come together and say they want this done, they expect this done, but they have to wait for Congress and the Senate to actually approve it. So when people get upset about, you know, presidents taking time off, it's like from what? I mean, what are we worried? They're not going to be there in time to veto a bill. I mean, that's like really the only thing that they're going to do. I understand that people say you should be a leader and you should be there, yeah, for times when there's things you need to be a leader for. But I mean, honestly, what was going on Sunday that he needed to be at the White House for? There was nothing going on. So I same thing with Biden at the beach and Bush, you know, at Camp David. I mean, or not at Camp David, at the ranch in Texas. I mean, yes, here you go. Where's Doge? Like complaining. I mean, I don't know, dude. There's so many other things that money's wasted on. To me, this doesn't bother me flying in to Daytona to do this little thing around. It's whatever. I mean, he's not going to do it every year. It is what it is. But you know, you're gonna have people that get upset about that, and that's fine. I mean, do they have a point? Maybe they do have a point. I don't know. Is it excessive bitching and crying? Of course. I mean, that's just the world we live in now. Everything's gonna be just complained and hated on, no matter what it is. But I mean, it is what it is. Um, yeah, man, we gotta chill a little bit. We definitely gotta chill a little bit in what we're doing. Um, oh, my last thing I want to get into. I saw, and I've gone into this on my other videos, and this drives me nuts. But Generation X, you guys can suck it, okay? First off, this whole thing of breaking down age groups into different generations is stupid. It is just it just wants it's just trying to put a label on something. Every generation has lazy people. Every generation has stupid people. Every generation has smart people. Every generation has motivated people. Every generation has people that don't want to work. Every generation has people that want to work. Every generation has people that are homeless. Every generation has people that can't afford stuff. Everybody has generation with people that can afford everything. That's just life. Now, is there difference in the different age groups as far as um, technology? Yeah, that's the only difference is just the advancement of technology. And if you really want to put a divide in like where there might be a different era that started, you'd probably have to put it like around 2005, 2006. I mean, that would be your divide, or maybe 2000. I don't know, somewhere around there because of just the advancement of technology in that time before and after. But Generation X can suck a big fat donkey dick, dude. I see all these things all the time that they think they're the baddest generation. That, oh man, our parents, I mean, we'd get up at dawn and we'd be out all day, and we wouldn't come home till the sun was coming down, and our parents never worried about us and this and that. Look, I was born in '81, and the way the stupid cutoff is I miss like Generation X by a year, if you want to put it in that perspective. Dude, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and we did the same damn thing. We were out all freaking day. Our parents had no clue where the hell we were. And we didn't, I mean, we would be out sometimes, especially during the summer, till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And the only time our parents called us was just for dinner. And then we'd back out in the, in the neighborhood, in the streets, or wherever again. It wasn't just Generation X. You guys can get off that stupid ass wagon that you guys were this just so equipped. Da, 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 da. My parents got separated when I was 10 years old. That's when I became the man of the house. I was watching my brothers at age 10 or 11 after school, okay, by myself. I'm not Generation X. I don't need a fist bump or a pat in the back for that. You're not that great, Generation X. You're not any better than any generation before or after you. You are the exact same level. You went through the same crap up until maybe the kids that were born in 97, 98, and after that. Hell, I'll even give you 93 after that. But anything before that, just the same, dude. We are exactly alike. There's nothing different and nothing better or anything. You want to label us, you want to label millennials or whatever. Dude, millennials are the exact same as Generation X, as boomers, as whatever. We are all the same. We grew up with the same thing. We grew up with the TV actually stopped broadcasting at a particular point of the night or the morning. The dawn of the internet, the beginning of the overusage of cell phones, the being out from dawn till dusk, the falling down and just putting a band-aid on it, the swallowing your bubble gum and it, being told it's gonna be in there for 7 years, the playing with the rinky-dink toys that were made out of tin or metal and would cut you up, or if you threw them at your brother, you'd give him a nice little donk in the head. Wiffle balls, I mean, bikes, ramping them off things and busting our knees and heads, going without a helmet, going without knee pads, white moon tires on our bikes, trike bikes, whatever. We were all there, man. You guys aren't any better than anybody. Suck it, Gen X. I'm tired of hearing this stupid nonsense that you are the token generation. You guys aren't shit. There's nothing different about anything you did than anything that the generation after you for the next 10 years went through, or the generation 10, 20 years went through. It's the exact same thing. The only thing that was different was the dates, dude. We got to get over this nonsense that you're so much better than anybody else. Jesus Christ, dude. Again, every age group, whatever you want to call it, had the exact same thing going on in it. The only thing that changed was technology. If again, different eras, a new era started. At some point they'll figure it out. The new era started. We'll just put it at 2000. As far as just the internet, especially with as easy as I mean, that era might be pushed to about 2010ish, maybe 2007, when you got everything on your cell phone. But suck it, Generation X. Jesus, I get tired of seeing just your videos of how great you think you are. You're not anything better than anybody else. Jesus Christ. Get over yourselves. All right. As always, I keep this about 40 minutes or so. Next time I'll show a little more on Twitter, but again, I was a little worried about after being blocked for copyrights, stupid ass YouTube. Um, we're gonna call it there. You know, good little summary show. Um, we'll get everything else figured out as far as the copyright nonsense, but I hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope you guys have a good week. I'll be on here again through the week, depending on what happens. Besides that, hey, find you a good piece of earth and dig it. All right, man. All right. You guys have a good night, day, or whatever you got.